This was a unanimous rejection, and at the same time we see the strikes on Rafah intensifying.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a bit of surprise that Hamas had accepted it, but when people looked into the details, there are a couple of things. One is that it's not exactly what was proposed or what Israel had agreed to in the first place. So it's like sort of Hamas has accepted its own terms for the ceasefire. So as I understand it, a couple of the reports are showing that one was that the hostages, Hamas had changed it to bodies or live hostages, not just live hostages. And also, again, they're still pushing for this end to the war, which Israel has said is unacceptable. And yesterday, of course, there was the Israelis began leafleting and sending messages to people in Rafah to begin moving there. There were airstrikes as well. It's not the whole city. There's only an area there that they've started trying to shift people out of, but it does look like the beginning of operations. Now, that doesn't mean that Israeli forces are going in, that it's imminent. It's as our reporting shows that Israeli officials expect they estimated it'll take a few weeks at least to remove people from that area. But yeah, it looks like that any sort of ceasefire or truce is off, and Rafah is the next thing up.
Israel has still said that it's going to be sending a delegation to meet with mediators to exhaust the possibility of reaching an agreement. So do you think that there's any common ground that could be found perhaps at the 11th hour?
Well, Annabelle, you never say never. I mean, there's a lot of pressure being exerted on Hamas, exerted on both sides here. And there's one school of thought that says that Israel's movement with Rafah, I mean, it hasn't gone in there. It's only leafleted or warned people to move. That's designed to pressure Hamas even further here. So you couldn't rule out that there'd be a last-minute agreement. I mean, this is sort of Hamas's last bastion here, and even if they lose, they're probably not going to be wiped out. But there's like 5,000 to 8,000 Hamas fighters estimated to be there. The leadership's estimated to be there. So they obviously don't want an operation there. And if they feel there's no alternative, perhaps they would take an extension that a ceasefire would offer. It's very difficult to assess. The leadership of Hamas is very well aware of Israeli politics, so they'll really just have to judge it on whether they believe Netanyahu is bluffing on Rafah or whether there's immense pressure coming from outside. But it's very hard to get a read on them. They'll only do what interests them. They still believe that they have the hostages, they have that trump card, because Israel traditionally has done everything possible to try to save its people. So they still believe they've sort of got an ace up their sleeve there. But yeah, look, I mean, all indications are that it will fall through, but they are still talking. You're right. Israel has said it will send negotiators, it'll exhaust all possibilities. But Hamas, in agreeing to its own terms for the deal, has sort of yeah, I mean, it's impossible for Israel to agree to that. It would reverse everything that Netanyahu has said in recent weeks.